So can we go now to the Matzo Ballers?
Sure.
Okay.
Oh, yeah, right.
Nobody wants this, which is a show that everyone was talking about.
Should be renamed Everyone's Watching This.
Everyone's watching this, exactly. It's been renewed for a second season. It's the show, it stars Kristen Bell and Adam Brody, and he's a rabbi and she's a chick who has a sex podcast.
With her sister.
And with her sister, who is Justine Lupe, who was Willa on Succession, who I loved. In fact, in this show, I liked the supporting characters better than the main characters.
Oh, okay.
So Justine Lupe, who's the sister, and Timothy Simons, who is Jonah from Veep, is the rabbi's brother. He's hilarious.
So the thing with those secondary characters or supporting cast members is like Jonah will just always be Jonah.
Totally.
And in this show, he's Jonah.
I called him Jonah the whole time. I didn't, And in fact, when I just had to Google the actor's name then, I was like, oh, I've never even heard the name Timothy Simons because I've just always called that guy Jonah.
And Willa is a bit Willa to me always too. I think. And she's kind of Willa.
She is a bit actually. Yeah. She's great though. She's really funny.
She's so great.
So the premise is these two people kind of spot each other at a party and then, it unfolds from there. So the first thing I wanted to ask you, two things I want to ask you straight off the top. One is, actually three things. A, did you watch The OC? B, did you like?
No.
Did you? Okay, so no. Did you like this show? Just hold your answer in reserve. And 3, the kiss that everyone was talking about. It was like, oh my God, it was so amazing. Okay, so did you like it?
Yes.
Okay, I was kind of like a bit fence sitting about it. And what did you think of the kiss that everyone was banging on and on about?
Well, I thought it was great. And a number of women my age they're like, oh. I don't know, maybe there's a nostalgia about kissing somebody for the first time, like that I guess, like beaten down sows like us, just sort of like,
Speak for yourself. I'm always kissing people for the first time.
Oh, this got awkward so fast. But it was like, and to pay attention, my serious point, I guess, is because the show, I guess, is about kind of, will this work and all this sort of intellectual work before anybody kisses anybody. Like it feels like a lot of focus on this, like what I guess across popular culture more generally would be classed as a low-grade intimacy. I think that, because, hey, next stop you'll see Nicole Kidman in a movie where she's like shagging some guy 8 ways until Christmas. Like watching a lot of energy, production attention, plot build-up applied to a kiss is actually really rare.
That's so true, actually. I hadn't thought of that. Yeah, there was a lot of build-up to the kiss.
Because the next minute they're not cowboy style. They're putting their ice creams down and going like...
But you never see any actual
that's right.
sex. Yeah, that's really interesting. I didn't bring that kind of intellectual depth to it. I was just like...
Well, that is...
I had read so much analysis about, oh my God, it was an amazing kiss. I was just like looking at the mechanics of the actual kiss.
Mate.
And so then I couldn't...
Well, you're trying to work out what like the technique was.
Like, is he a
what is that tongue doing?
I was like, is Adam Brody a particularly good kisser? And I found
what I found it
hard to work out was I couldn't... It looked like a perfectly good kiss to me, a really great kiss, but I couldn't kind of separate... Okay, if I saw Gary Oldman giving that kiss, would I still think it was a good kiss? Because Adam
10 points for pulling out Gary. Oh, you've been watching Slow Horses. But
I couldn't divorce.
When you're watching Slow Horses,
Adam Brody's so
were you
handsome.
just wanting to suck face with Gary Oldman the whole time? Like, what's going on?
No,
here?
but I felt like I could smell Gary Oldman through the screen because he is so repellent. But save Slow Horses for Christ's sake. Don't blow that off now.
What? So you're blowing Gary Oldman? What's going on? Are you all right?
I couldn't separate.
Mate, Patches is a really good...
It's the effect of like John Hamm in 30 Rock, which is because John Hamm is so good looking. You know that episode where he's like a terrible tennis player, but no one says anything because it's John Hamm and he's so handsome, right? So he goes through life having a warped sense of everything.
Things.
I couldn't tell, is it actually objectively a good kiss or is it because Adam Brody is so handsome and so attractive?
Who cares what the kiss is like? It's not even him being handsome.
Everyone was talking about it.
Do you know what it is? I'll tell you. It's not about how good looking he is. It's not about what he's doing with his tongue. It is because you rewound and watched it 50 times.
I can just tell.
Tongue police says nothing to report. Move along.
Yeah. Well, okay, tell me what the secret is.
Okay.
Wasn't up old lady who hasn't had a first kiss in 30 years.
The secret is that this rabbi employs emotional intelligence to make it perfect, right? That is what it is, right? He goes, okay, this isn't going to happen. Let's just, if we're going to have one kiss, let's make a proper kiss. Put your ice cream down.
Yeah.
Like, I'm going to hold your shoulders and I'm going to look at you in the eyes with love. And
okay,
that is what is turning all these ladies on, is there is an emotionally intelligent person who is like, let's make this moment amazing. Okay, that is what's frying everybody's rapidly aging eggs.
Okay, this is perfect because it gets to one of the issues I had with why I didn't like the show, which is what you've just described there is a fantasy, right? And that's why, as you say, like it's frying everyone's eggs. It's a fantasy. And it's kind of like, okay, so the fantasy at one point was supposedly 50 Shades of Grey, right? Which is that you're going to be dominated by a dude.
Which we just constantly lose our shit with laughter about. Like,
yeah.
So exhausting.
So this is a different
Who's going to mop out the red room of pain? Not me.
I'm wondering, that's right, exactly. I'm wondering if this is a different kind of fantasy because I feel like I've seen it a couple of times. So there was an old trope of women in kind of romantic comedies, which it really used to drive me mad. It was Ally McBeal. It was Nina Proudman in Offspring. It's the chick who's a smart, highly accomplished chick at work who saves people's lives or runs whole legal cases. But in her private life, she's kind of a klutz and she's slipping on banana peels and all she talks about is, dudes and trying to find romance and stuff. And so that was a certain trope where, yes, you're completely competent in everything, but you're just a klutz in romance, which I just find kind of irritating. Mm-hmm. This, I wondered, is the new trope a chick who can be as rude and inappropriate and weird as she likes, but the guy will always be endlessly understanding and have no needs of his own?
I think it's a trope that's about unavailable men of the cloth. See Hot Priest in Fleabag,
could
right?
Be. Yeah, it could be.
But it's actually an ancillary point to what you're saying. And I actually think this is a healthy direction where your heroine is kind of complicated, smart, paranoid about some things, able to recognize her own kind of personality kinks. The guy is kind of compromised.
Could she know? She was rude and selfish. She was never interested. Like she never asked kind of anything about him and his journey towards being a rapper. I mean, I know we're talking about a drama here.
She Google stalked his ex-girlfriend.
She was kind of just...
Did you feel that way about Phoebe and Fleabag?
No, that was a much richer, deeper... I felt like Fleabag was... this reminded me a lot of Fleabag in an unfavourable way. Fleabag had... Okay, spoiler alert here. If you haven't watched Fleabag and if you want to watch Nobody Wants This, I'm about to reveal some major plot points. Fleabag, as you remember at the end when she's like, I love you. He's like, you'll get over it. We can't be together. My calling is to be a priest. And it was like the perfect ending. This is, my calling's to be a rabbi. It's what I've wanted to do for my entire life. You're not Jewish. Okay, forget it. We're just going to be together. Like it just, to me, I just felt like that is the wrong ending.
Yeah, but hang on. How many millions of TV shows and movies have we seen where that's what the chick does at the end? Why is it so upsetting to you when a bloke does it?
Well, it's upsetting to me as well when a chick does it. Right. I just think it's kind of not... It's kind of like, well, romantic love trumps absolutely everything else that you've worked for, in your entire life. I find it not a plausible or believable
but it kind of is fantasy,
thing.
Right? Like, I mean,
that's what I'm saying. Like, it's fantasy.
Yeah.
But is the new fantasy that as a chick you can be, when we say complicated, I know sometimes chicks are, when they assert themselves, they're viewed as being a pain in the ass. But also, where's the line between being a pain in the ass and just being rude and selfish?
Oh, that's interesting. I mean, like, you obviously were much more annoyed by her than I was.
Yeah, I found her pretty annoying. Yeah.
I quite liked her.
Oh, okay.
Ow.
Ow. I found him just delightful, but almost like he was emasculated. Like he wasn't really allowed to have needs or assert any kind of irritation at her, but she could act as flaky and weird as she wanted, and he had to kind of... I also had a problem with a line that I read a whole article where
she was nice to the dog.
There was a whole article where someone said, like, talking about the appealing fantasy, where he says... she's acting flaky and getting the ick about him. And then he says, hey, whatever her name is, I can handle you. I had a problem with that line as well, even though a lot of people were like, oh, wow, that's just what you want. You just want a guy who can handle you. Like, no, I found that vaguely patronising.
But she sort of turned up and tried to make friends with his friends, even though they're all friends of his ex. Like that. I don't know why I'm defending her. I mean, it's just a TV show, mate.
I nearly just spat water over it. Yeah, no, I've gone very deep and serious on something which is essentially a lighthearted romantic comedy. But
that's all it is. Like, I mean,
totally.
I actually think Fleabag is more significant as a work of art.
Totally.
I guess. Yeah. I think, and certainly more groundbreaking creatively as well.
Yeah.
But I mean, I gotta say, like, you know, when you're in that frame of mind where you want popcorn, but not like super shit popcorn.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, I live with someone who's endlessly prepared to watch rom-coms, and I'm kind of like, I'm not really,
right.
I want something that sort of feels like it's got a bit of fibre in it.
Yeah.
But is also like, I'm going to take a quick break from being a parent and just watch this sort of, and we kind of like smash through it pretty quickly.
Yeah. I don't think I'd watch season 2.
Yeah, that's interesting. I didn't get to the end and think, I can't wait to see what happens to them next, because I think it's pretty obvious what'll happen next.
Yeah.
Did I tell you about that great show?
I'll tell you what would happen next in reality. They'd have a nasty breakup in about 2 years' time, and he'd be gutted that he threw in everything that he ever worked for.
Listen to you. You're just like, well, she's a baggage.
He'd be much happier with me.
Everybody at the synagogue picked her right first time.
They did.
She is a baggage. You're like, that's right.
Absolutely. That's right. The mother was right onto it.
Oh, God.
Yeah, he does.
Wow.
He should be with the other girl who wants to be the rabbi's wife.
Oh, my God, you're hilarious.
They were perfectly matched. She spent her whole life wanting to be a rabbi's wife, and he spent his whole life wanting to be a rabbi. And she's Jewish. They should be together. They're meant to be together.
Maybe that's season 2. Did I tell you
Let
about...
me out the script.